Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Let's do it. Welcome to Boatbuilding News, the podcast, a series of engaging interviews with key individuals from within the marine industry. I'm excited. This is going to be epic. I actually don't think I've met anybody more passionate or more professional than Harry from Tiger Co. Morning, Harry. Thanks for joining us on the Boatbuilding News podcast.
Good morning, Holly. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
I've been so excited about this. Actually, I kept on meaning to organise it, and I'm so busy. You're so busy, and it was something that always entered my head, and then instantly left. So I'm so glad that I eventually did send you that message and said, "Let's do it."
Yeah, it's great. I've always seen the output you've done. And I think it's properly cool for someone in the industry to be like spotlighting and showing off all different parts of it. Because I sit and watch them. I think they're fascinating. I think they're so good.
I love recording them, but I think I'm just nosy. That's what I've put it down to. I love podcasting, but I think I'm just nosy. I just like to know what everyone's up to.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'm on board with that. Yeah,
I know. And then I always think, well, if I want to know what everyone's up to, at least one other person will also want to know what everyone's up to. So I might as well record it.
Definitely. That's a great idea.
So, Harry, I mean, I know that you are officially Harry Doyle, but you'll always be Harry Tiger. You know, when you've got a name like that, why wouldn't you use it? It's incredible. But give yourself a little introduction. Tell us who you are, what you do.
So yeah, technically speaking, my full name is Harrison Tiger Doyle. However, as you know, my mum, she's a bit nuts. So me and the rest of my siblings all have ridiculous middle names. So I just decided to roll with the Harry Tiger aspect of it because my mum said it'd be better marketing wise. So fine, roll with it. But yeah, so basically, I'm the founder and director of a company called Tiger Co. We are specialists in film, photography, and social media marketing for the marine and aviation industries. So that could look like anything from a charter yacht shoot in the Mediterranean to a propeller manufacturer to a private jet show to an event on a golf course to absolutely anything and everything that's related to marine and aviation. And if it's filming it or marketing it on social media, that's what we do. So if it floats or flies, we're experts, but don't for a minute ask me to film a wedding because I will be terrible at it. But if it floats or flies, we know what we're doing.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Is that an actual official tagline for you? If it floats or flies, we know what we're doing.
Floats or flies, basically, yeah. And any, business associated with it, because like one of the reasons I set up the company was I had experience working with sort of other agencies and seeing how it worked when I was younger because my mum was in the industry. So I grew up around it and I just saw these agencies and these setups that were just not geared towards how specialist a yacht or indeed a jet in the aviation world is at all. Like they don't fundamentally understand or have a passion for the product. So you can see that translated in their creative. And what I always say to kind of my team and one of our main kind of points that we always try and stick to is that we have to absolutely love that project, either fully understand the client's product or service or the reason why they do it so that we know we can add value to them. We don't kind of, just take on anyone and everything because I don't want to work on something that I find obscenely boring or I think it's a bit too expensive or I just don't think it will work in the market because we're doing marketing. So we're quite honest and what we sell is a creative asset. So we have to absolutely love and understand that thing to produce the best outcomes for our clients. And if you're not doing that and you're just taking on, anything and everything, I don't believe that you can run, a boutique agency that fully understands your clients if one day you're marketing a hotel, then a pair of trainers, a toothbrush, then a super yacht. I just don't think you can fully get behind and understand how that works. So, I mean, that's the reason why I sort of set it up. I mean, I filmed my first boat when I was about 7 years old. Like I said, I grew up around the industry because my mum worked in it. And I used to kind of just skip school and use any pocket money I had to get down to like Southampton Boat Show or like fly myself to Düsseldorf Boat Show and just go, right, I'm not going to school. I'm going to do this instead. And I'd always loved film and photography ever since I was super, super young. And it was then when I it was one of my first ever Southampton boat shows. And the late Sunseeker founder, Robert Braithwaite, he said to me, I think I was there on the Thursday, I'd skipped school and he went, oh, are you coming on the Friday? You're coming to do some filming for me? And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, whoa, yes. I was like, yeah, figure out any which way I can to figure it out. So like borrowed a camera off a friend and it turned up, came down. I think I must have been like 9 or 10 years old or something. And to me, that was like absolute opportunity. And then I kind of went, right, I understand that these machines, I was like, you know, when you're small, you look at these boats, Sunseeker yachts on the boat just stand, you're like, they're the size of a house. They go as fast as a car. Look at these amazing machines. Like, who would not want to film these? So did it all throughout school, basically. And then when I was kind of freelancing all throughout school, I'd go to like any local business I could when I was younger, just to kind of learn the trade, basically learn how to film, how to market, how to get something across. So I'd go down to like the local bakery, optician, yoga studio, the local magician, anything and everything. It'd be like, give me £100, I'll make you a website, a leaflet, a video, some photography, anything. And that's how I sort of learned it, then specialized in the boat stuff, doing more and more for Sunseeker. They give me a load of opportunities when I was sort of 15, 16 years old. And then a week after I left school in October 2018, I just set up the company and went, this is absolutely it. So I don't have great experience in anything else but this, but that makes us quite good at what we do because we just do this basically. Now we're a small team. There's only 3 of us full time, soon to be 4, as I was saying earlier. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, 4 of us, and we work with probably 20, 25 different freelancers around the world for specific jobs like drone pilots in Monaco, specific restrictions around the world, stuff like that. So we've got a big network of creators in the Mediterranean and in the US. And yeah, like I say, if it floats or flies or needs filming, photographing, marketing on social media, like that's what we're doing. We're very tunnel vision towards that.
Yeah, very kind of like inch wide, mile deep, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You're not broad. You don't go, okay, well, I specialize in, I can make anything look good. It's like, actually, I know what I'm passionate about. I know what I'm good at, and I'm going to stick just with that. And anything outside of that is almost like a distraction for you and not your bag. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think you produce, especially what we're doing, selling a creative thing for a client, like, if it's a creative pursuit, you've got to absolutely love it. I think like the very best sort of artists and creators and musicians and anything in the world, like it was never for money. It was never for anything like that. It's like rooted in sort of a deep seated understanding and passion for that particular thing. And we love it. And we sort of decided to branch into the aviation world about 2 years ago now. We've won some amazing contracts and there's some super cool shoots, which we're like very fortunate to be able to have done. Having not been in the industry a while, but yeah, basically our passion for these beautiful, expensive machines and the crazy industries around them, we just love. So yeah, we like to know our trade.
I mean, what you create is incredible. It's like magic. Like, I mean, so you know, when I look, I mean, it's almost like we are in a similar space, but I can only dream of creating something as polished as what you do. You know, I think I rely on personality and sort of me, whereas you actually produce the most incredible film. But then what's actually quite interesting is that although it's actually incredible to look at kind of surface level, your passion for it comes through as well. Like you can tell that it's been created by somebody that understands the product, that's actually passionate about it and that actually loves it. You know, that sort of emotion comes through your content, which is the hardest part because then it becomes more than just marketing, doesn't it? You know, you're instilling emotion, you're influencing people with your content, which is that's the magic bit that's hard to do, I think, isn't it?
No, yeah, I appreciate that. That's very kind. And yeah, it is that. It is exactly that. Like, there's a million people that can film things. There's a million people that can photograph things, but it kind of just comes down to the nitty gritty of like, okay, we have to organize like, you know, the perfect storm of elements to do what we do. Like, say we've got a charter yacht in the Mediterranean. We shot one a couple of weeks ago, a 40-meter in Cannes. And in order to make that work, you have to marry up models, the sea state, the weather, the wind, anchorages, passage plans, provisioning, a storyboard, like sunset direction, sunset times, anchoring restriction zones, and like all of that. We go, let us sort it. It's done. Like we don't rock up with a camera, but like we would never do any of that stuff if we didn't like it. Like if we didn't go boating anyway in the summer and at the weekends, we'd have no idea like where to look for anchorages, like how to do a passage plan, like any of this stuff we wouldn't know how to do unless we did it anyway, if that makes sense. So yeah, and I think loving it is the most important thing. And as well, like when it comes to the running the business side of it, obviously it's incredibly hard, incredibly stressful, all the rest of it. And I think if it's something you love in a similar way, like you love what you do, it gets you over those times when most other people would sort of quit or shy away from an opportunity or not do it. Because when it gets too hard, you kind of go, yeah, all the money in the world, all the contracts in the world is not going to motivate you to do that extra bit, that more difficult bit. Or when you get a call super late on a Saturday from a client saying, can you fly out tomorrow morning? We've got a listing. Like, would you do that unless you're being paid, like big bucks? You wouldn't. You do it because you love that thing and you understand how it works. So that's always been so important for us. And we'd never bring anyone on the team or work with anyone freelance wise that didn't fundamentally understand or agree with our approach for that, because everyone's input comes together to the client just gets, here's the final download link to the film, or we're managing your social media. They just see the end thing, but everything that goes into that is quite a lot of stuff, really.
Yeah, and when you're working with something on the water, though, like you said, there are so many variables to consider that if you could take that away from somebody, do you know what I mean? That I didn't even realise, actually, I'd never stopped to think about all of that goes into it before you even hit the record button.
Yeah.
That's
Sometimes
mental.
it's almost like more work than goes into the filming stuff. Like, we've turned up at boats before where, because we're a lot of us are commercially endorsed skippers or have our powerboat level 2s, things like that, we've taken boat listings out by ourselves to shoot and do and clean. So you've got to organise the cleaning. I mean, we've turned up to boats before that have been like filthy as anything, haven't been touched in weeks, and we go, we don't go, do you know what, too dirty, whatever, not my problem. We're there cleaning the boat, getting it absolutely ready. Like, everything has to be perfect, because on film and photography, camera, like, everything shows up. The dirt shows up, the fingerprints show up on the stainless, and all these things, when you're stacking a listing against loads of others on Yacht World or in any sort of marketplace, WhatsApping it to a prospect, they notice those things because they've seen 5 of the same type of boat listed. So if your one is the one that's poorly presented, that can really, really turn a prospect off from, a boat brokerage's perspective, for instance. So a lot goes into it. We don't mind being boat cleaners, jumping in the water to scrub the whole line, any of that. We don't mind it. We basically just do it to get it done.
Oh my God, I love it.
And a lot goes into it, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you say, it's interesting when you say you knew from the age of 7, do you know what I mean, what your passion was? Like, that's so rare, but actually that must have felt quite comforting, because especially now, I've got kids and I look at them and I think they wouldn't have a clue what they're doing, and they're older than 7. They wouldn't have a clue what they're going into. And I actually think, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I still don't think I know. So, like, you knew.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, to be successful at anything, I don't think you have to know from any certain age. You've just got to perpetually keep trying at that thing. And that's what I've always believed. Like, when I'm like, my brother's actually in the office now doing work experience. So I'm like, come and work with us. If you hate it, it's not a waste of time. You've ticked it off. You hate it. Yeah. Next thing, like, I was very lucky that I did find that I loved it. And I'm grateful to, obviously, the opportunities that, like, my mum had given me. She's saying, like, yes, you can come down, or sometimes she'd say no and I do it anyway. But, like, doing those things, like, helped to go, oh, actually, I love that. And I think that's very much a nurture thing as well. And I was very lucky to have parents that said, we're not millionaires, we don't come from loads and loads of money, I don't live in a giant house, nothing like that. But it's like, they would always give me opportunity, and they'd always kind of foster that. And I think that's so important, and something that is probably missing, seeing, a couple of my younger siblings finishing school after I've already finished school. And you see in education that they're not fostering these, even if, you have like a little spark of something, or you're slightly interested in something, like, the lack of opportunity, I think, is quite scary now for young people, giving, teachers and stuff. They're not going, oh, go and try that thing, go and do that thing, or giving you a platform to do that. Like, I genuinely believe, if I'm a parent, or if you're, a guardian or someone older or a role model for someone, if they're really, really good at tennis, but terrible at maths, get them a tennis coach and make them the best at that, rather than trying to make them bang average at everything else. Yeah. And I think that's what I was lucky that I got to experience was, I'm terrible at a lot of things, but my mum was like, right, well, go on then, keep doing the video stuff. Like, keep doing the video stuff. And I think we need more of that generally. I think it's scary almost to see, a lot of young individuals, like, we don't want to produce lots of bang average, okay at everything people. I think it's amazing to see people that are so passionate or so good at that particular thing that they do. And you'd want that, you'd want your heart surgeon to be absolutely obsessed with getting his craft to the best. You wouldn't want him, well, DJing at the weekends, would you? In the same way you wouldn't want your DJ, going, oh, actually, not really that into music. I'm okay at it. Like, you'd want them to be obsessed with it. And like you say, leaving speakers everywhere, buying new equipment, constantly researching. And I think that's one of the most important things that I try to motivate within my team and myself, every day, just say, keep finding that thing. And if you don't like that thing, you start not to like that thing, find something else.
I mean, you're absolutely right. So I can relate to this so much because, I've got school age children, and the curriculum at that school is suffocating for them. There's not, they come to me and they say, how many times are your children reading? Have you filled in their reading log? And my kids will not read. They will not read. So I could turn my house into a war zone and force them to sit there for 20 minutes every night reading. Yeah. I don't read. Honestly, I reckon I can count on one hand the amount of books I've read. I do not read. They do not read. But if I gave, and I'm probably reducing my credibility here massively, but occasionally my eldest daughter, will see some of the content I put out, and before I put it out, she'll go, give that here. I give it to her, and I'm not joking. Within about 5 minutes, she gives it back to me, and it's 10 times better. And I think at no point at school are they going, have you edited a video for YouTube? Do you know what I mean? They're not keeping up with what is actually the digital age. They're saying to me, has your child read for 20 minutes? And I'm like, no, because they hate it. So I can relate to that.
They love, and they'll be really good at it because they'll do it anyway. Because people want to do stuff anyway. Just it's if they like it and if they enjoy it. So I think you've just got to work so hard to find your own sort of groove where you fit, because your progress, you'll put 1 in, you'll get 10 out. Because you love that thing so much more. But yeah, it sounds like your daughter needs to come and do work experience with us.
I know. Do you know what? I did mention. I think I might have mentioned it to you in person at Southampton last year. So she's 13, and honestly, give her a couple of years, and I am sending her your way, because
I'll find her the perfect big yacht shoot in the Med to do. It'd be fantastic.
Okay, she's going to need she's going to need me to come with her for that.
Oh yeah, of course. There's a sunbed waiting for you, Holly. It's all good.
Oh my gosh, yeah, exactly. So actually, do you know? Let's just. So you've got your brother there on work experience. Your sister Saffron works with you. Is I want to think that that's amazing, but I've got siblings and I couldn't work with them. So what's the reality of that?
So I mean, thankfully, Luke and my brother's only here a week. But my sister Saffron, we've been working together for quite a few years now, and it obviously has its challenges, like any sort of relationship. But I think we have found a flow where it's better, because if I'm locked in doing a video edit or something, she knows when to ask me something. She can tell if I'm in a bad mood because she's lived with me for the 22 years she's been around, or however old she is. She knows when to ask, when to not ask, and vice versa. And we you almost bring it down to a bit of a shorthand. It's, we're not writing emails to each other. It's a WhatsApp. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And we often have different opinions on the same thing, and we reach kind of a middle point, be it, how should we send this proposal? How should we word this thing with a client? What do you think we should do on this project or this campaign? And I'm normally that way, she's normally that way. And then we kind of meet in the middle of, to be fair, that's probably the right thing to do. So that collaboration is good. And I mean, we're all very close. We've got a massive group of us that kind of work together, play together, anything and everything. And I think that's a big thing within the marine industry. It's one big lifestyle that you sign up for if you're really involved. And if you don't like that, if you don't like who you're working with, you don't like to go for a beer with them after at Southampton Boat Show, you don't like any of that, then you are going to struggle, because it's so all encompassing. And normal working hours and normal trade shows, it's not a thing. It's so the level beyond. And having now worked in other industries like aviation, when you look back into the boating industry, you go wow, it is a very special, amazing place, but you've got to fit it. And if you don't, you'll know quite quickly. And I know a lot of people that have left the industry and miss it dearly.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So, whenever I talk to anyone about, like you said, a boat show to a trade show, and they're like, oh yeah, no, I know what you mean. You know, I go to a trade show, you know, I'm walking around the exhibition all day, and then yeah, we go to networking drinks. I'm like, no, it's still not the same. It's still not the same. Like the marine you become, like the marine industry isn't even your job. It just like becomes your whole world. You know, it's weird, isn't it?
It is such an all-encompassing thing. But again, I think that's what's so amazing about it. You know, like I speak to a lot of people that work at sort of, you know, marketing level kind of thing at lots of our clients, and they go, oh, do you know what? This is all too chaotic for me. I'm thinking about leaving. And I kind of say, careful what you wish for. Because having, like, you know, seen a lot of other businesses and a couple of other industries, careful what you wish for, because as stressful and insane as it is, the access and the way it works is very, very different to anywhere else, and somehow it still works. Like, I don't know how the marine industry still works with a lot of how things are set up, but it does, and it's amazing.
It's such a relationship driven place, though, isn't it? It's all about, you know, and you've got to give to the, this is what actually interesting. I had this conversation yesterday with somebody. You've got to give to the industry before you can expect anything back. So you can't turn up to a boat show and turn up once and your only time you ever go there and come away with business. You almost have to go be on the circuit for years and nurture those relationships before you take anything from it. It's a weird kind of give take type thing. And, you know, I don't have a massive amount of experience of other industries, but I don't know if it would be the same. I think it would be a bit more transactional, whereas we're much more relationship driven.
Completely. It's a very different thing. And I mean, last week I was in Geneva at eBase, which is a big
I saw that, and I called it a plane show. Was that the correct term? I was like, what do I call this?
Yeah. So I was at that, and that industry, for instance, I mean, people are amazing. It's still very relationship led. However, it is a lot more transactional. You know, we found that, you know, I could Instagram message or LinkedIn message a CEO of a business with 3,000 or 4,000 employees and get through to them like quickly and get a meeting the same day. Whereas the marine industry, I found, is very much more, like you say, you have to nurture these things. It's a lot less transactional. Like you say, it's much more relationship led, really, is the main kind of teller I found. So you either love it or you hate it, I think.
I'm definitely, well, I don't hide the fact I absolutely love it. I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
So what's, if you think back to all, I mean, you've already thrown a few crazy locations in, a few beautiful boats and everything like that. But if you think back to all the shoots that you've done, what's been either your favourite or what's been the most obscure? Do you know what I mean? What's been something that you thought, if I could go back and do that all again, I would? So
I'd say there's probably one that we did. It was kind of around COVID time. Sunseeker did a big campaign called the Sunseeker Famous 5, where they ended up having 5 different boats launched at the same time.
Love that.
And we ran a campaign and we did this sunrise shoot. It was at like 4:10 in the morning or something. I got everyone, you know, together. Like my film team was like, right, this is actually going to be quite a big deal for us, this one. And we got 5 Sunseeker yachts out and our chase boat. And we had them basically just point into the sun at, like, I think it was 4:10, 4:15, and just said to all the boats, like, throttle it and be in one big sort of line size-wise. And we just zipped around them for like an hour and just got the most amazing sunrise stuff that they used on their launch campaign. And it all ended up going really well, other than we stuffed the bow of our Axopar chase boat in the wakes of all of the boats. So you imagine 5 Sunseekers and their wakes came towards us on the chase boat, and we did write off a couple of drones and cameras that morning, but totally worth it. That was pretty amazing, to be fair. And visually that was one of the coolest things, I think. And being able to be like, right, I've got 5 boats on the other end of a radio, I'm telling them what to do. I don't know why they're trusting me, but you know. But yeah, that was a pretty amazing one, to be fair. And then other ones that are great are just like the Mediterranean ones are fantastic, working with lots of different yacht crews around the world, seeing how different yacht crews operate, building relationships with captains and yacht brokers and that kind of thing. All that's very cool. And then just some crazy plane related stuff is always fun.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We're shooting one in Saint-Tropez in a few weeks where we've got 4 jets, a turboprop and a helicopter. and basically rented out an airport. So that should be quite fun. But again, terrifying, like terrifying to organise. And like I said before, insane in terms of the amount of logistics and stuff that go into it. But amazing, like the work product that you get to produce off the back of it when you have these amazing, beautiful, expensive machines in front of you that will do what you want to make that perfect shot is quite cool.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Sunseeker, and I remember that. That marketing campaign. It did look amazing. I mean, obviously, your mum is the the lovely Alex from Sunseeker, heading up the marketing for Sunseeker London. Is that additional pressure to you? Do you have to impress Sunseeker as a client? But it's your mum,
Oh, completely. I don't know what it is with just family cropping up across the industry everywhere, but yes, completely.
Your family everywhere.
Yeah, I know. Ridiculous. It is a lot of pressure. And I mean, every time, doesn't matter how amazing what you do is, you'll be like, at 12 seconds, there's a funny cut, or the colour looks a bit off, or it's never perfect, ever. It's never perfect. So that's always a lot of pressure. Yeah. Or it'll be after the shoot, she'll go, wouldn't have done it like that. And it's like,
oh my God. So she doesn't just go, oh, I'm so proud. That's my son out there doing that.
Of course no way. But I like that, and I quite respond to that as a person. Like, I like the good, but do this differently. And it's probably made us better quicker, to be honest. When I was showing her my videos when I'm 9 years old, and she'd go, it's good, but what you could do differently is when I'm making videos of Lego figurines and stuff like that. But yeah, like you say, yes, a lot of additional pressure.
Do you still have the footage of the videos you made as a child?
Somewhere, I think I do. In the deep, dark depths of YouTube that I hope no one finds ever, will be horribly embarrassing videos that I've made when I was younger, for sure.
Do a throwback Thursday, put one out.
Yeah. All right, I'll consider it.
Well, to be fair, I work in recruitment, which is like, I mean, it's only second best to the FBI. I reckon I could probably find them.
I reckon you could. I reckon I'll give you 10 minutes after this call, and you'll have it there, reshared, ready to go.
I will. I'll just send you a ransom note.
Yeah, I would pay it, whatever it. Honestly, I would pay it.
Oh God, are they that bad? So, apart from your childhood videos that you made, what like? Come on, there must have been a disaster. What's been the biggest disaster? I mean, only if we can laugh about it now, obviously, but what's been where you've gone, oh my God, I can't believe that's happened?
So, I mean, there's always something goes wrong on a yacht shoot. It never goes to plan, that's kind of just standard and part and parcel of boats. But I'd say we have had a couple of drone losses from freelancers I've hired before. Lost in wakes, crashed into trees, that kind of thing. Thankfully, touch wood, no boat injuries just yet. But I mean, we have done some fairly on the line things. Like, we shot a channel crossing before, and our boat over there was I think it was 3 meter blue rib, and there was about 4 of us on with camera equipment and quite a big swell. So we got very wet. Really didn't know if we were going to make it, to be honest. And being circled by drones and like all sorts. That was pretty sketchy. But I mean, to be fair, like, the amount of training and stuff we put in, we just try and mitigate risks so much. Like, most content creators and a lot of video production companies, they're not properly insured, if that makes sense. But we're insured by marine insurers who are also our client. And we pay a lot and, spend a lot of time going through our policies and making sure everything is absolutely right. Because if you're hiring us to do a job on your boat, it could be your stock boat or your own personal boat, you're going to want to know that the crew come on. If they smash a drone into your windscreen, which touch wood has never happened and will never happen, they can.
We're jinxing quite a bit right now.
Yeah, we can knock over a camera, it mess up a load of teak, and that can be covered. Not, oh, hang on, sir, I didn't know you were doing filming at sea on super yachts, but as part of your business, like, we're super insured. We've got all the correct equipment, and we go through a lot of training. So Will, who joined us almost 2 years ago, is now our in-house drone pilot, and he wanted to take over all of our drone stuff. And I went, fine, let's do it. Let's get you trained. And it took 18 months, really. of training, renting boats, going out on boats, the launching procedure, the landing procedure, if there's swell, if there's wind, because there's so many variables. And we absolutely have safety as one of our top things when we shoot, because it's all well and good going, look at these amazing yachts. Yeah, I could snap one of those, and go and do it. But actually, if you encounter weather, the sea state can change. You know, you've got cameras, you've got crew, you've got things with propellers, you've got electronics, you've got people catching drones in big seas. Like, it can really be a bit dangerous sometimes. So you absolutely have to be prepared, insured, and know what you're doing, really.
I mean, the level of professionalism you actually, you know, and I know that, you know, people think, oh, it's just as simple as turning up and pushing record, but the level of preparation and professionalism you have is off the scale.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. It's something that we really put a lot of work into, to be honest, is making sure that we are safe. We know what we're doing. We know how boats work. We know how they're going to move. We can read the weather. We can read a chart. You know, I've heard horror stories of videographers filming boats for the first time, having boats beached, you know, smashing drones, cutting fingers off. When it goes right, it's all really good until it goes wrong, basically. It can be a dangerous thing, and at the end of the day, someone owns that beautiful and expensive asset. It's not yours. You have to be incredibly careful around it, and we put a lot of focus on that. Yeah.
Awesome. So everything sounds amazing, but you know, what's keeping you up? Like, what's challenging you at the moment?
So I say, alongside our normal challenges of, you know, like I say, the perfect storm of all these elements that have to come together for a successful campaign, I'd say hiring process at the moment. I mean, we had, like I was telling you earlier, a big influx after about 7 days of putting the ad out. We had 250 applications. That was amazing. But for us, it's kind of
10 of them were from me.
Next?
5 of them were from my daughter.
Where do we go next? It's a bit like, okay, we know what we're doing with the yachting industry. We're breaking into the aviation industry, and that is super exciting for us. Finding, you know, how we learned yachting is how we're going to learn aviation. Start, figure it out, do it properly, no shortcuts. If it takes 10 years to do, it takes 10 years to do. Like, that's what it takes. So that's probably the thing I'd say would be keeping us up, would be, where do we go next? How do we maintain quality? And as well, how do we keep costs a sensible thing? Because the cost of our stuff goes up like the cost of anyone's, everything goes up. Yeah. Our equipment, you know, we've got probably over £100,000 worth of camera equipment, and we're constantly buying stuff, and it gets wrecked by seawater, and we're constantly reinvesting. And it's that, trying to keep costs at a sensible rate. And the reason I started the company was to not become an overinflated agency with loads of ego hired staff who just charge an absolute arm and a leg for businesses that don't need it, because they see yacht, they go ding ding ding, yacht money, that means we'll charge them through the roof, and we know that's not how it works. So trying to keep cost sensible, maintaining what we're doing skill wise, and as well finding good talent that understand what we do, because I fear like there's less young people coming into a lot of industries that they know nothing about. Like, none of my friends would have ever heard about boats unless I'd taken them on them, or I wouldn't start talking about them. And they'd be like, what? These things? They'd think that per boat there's a couple of jobs. You know, like, there's hundreds of people in different businesses around the world that support these things. It's not just the glossy product. It's everything associated with it and how much opportunity there is. So that's what I want to be working on moving forward, finding talented youth that want to come into this amazing industry, be taught, and opening their eyes to it. Because like we were talking about, if you don't know about boats, you don't know about boats. You don't know about horses, you don't know about horses. Like, we need to show the youth of kind of tomorrow that there is absolutely amazing opportunity in this, and that you should do it. It's wicked, basically.
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right, because if you think about, you know, the kids going through school, and then the natural progression is you go college and maybe uni, that's what's drilled into them at school, is this academic route. You know, there's probably I can't even think of one obvious course, or a course that I know that anyone's done that's related to the marine industry. You know, I can't think of any
that's
way,
not like naval architect, or you know, anything like that fits in, like a yacht broker's source, or like I don't something that just goes, oh wow, like this is amazing. I think we need more young people in the industry that need to shine a light on, the buyers of tomorrow, because people do care about sustainability. They do care where their boat comes from. They do care what their footprint of owning that particular asset's going to be. I mean, I read a Financial Times report a few weeks ago that said that less than 5% of the ultra high net worth individual market worth over $30 million own a boat. Now, when you compare that to the market in timepieces, in automotive, in luxury property, in luxury holiday, it is so tiny. Yeah. And I mean, how do we get this across to younger buyers? How do we get this across to more eco-conscious buyers like our industry? We have a lot to answer for. When I went to eBay last week, every other panel show talk was about sustainability, about hydrogen propulsion in aerospace, and how they can build more sites at FBOs to make that next leap towards that. And I think we've got a lot to answer for in the marine industry. We've really got to push it to not only keep the industry going for the next generation of buyers who are going to care about this stuff, but also for the sake of the planet. Like, we need to do something about it. These are, big footprint things, the building process, the running process, that everything is. And we just can't be ignoring this as a thing any longer and just saying, oh, it's fine, it's a luxury asset, it's fine. It's really going to come to the forefront. And this next generation of wealth that's coming up, that at school has learned about all this stuff, they're going to be very, very aware of it. So I'd say that's one thing as an industry we need to club together and just get moving on before it's too late, and before boating becomes that was an old man thing. God, I can't believe we used to do that. I can't believe we used to buy boats. What a waste of the environmental damage and the money. Like, we need to shift that perspective for the next generation for sure. And hopefully we can start with a few videos. Basically.
Yeah, but do you know what's quite interesting is that I interviewed somebody yesterday, and he said to me, for some reason, the marine industry think that, if you look at things like the electrification of boating, electric boating, they go, oh yeah, that's the future. He was like, it's not. It's now. It's almost like the past. Like, it's not the future. It's the actual now. And he was very interesting because he was selling it because he was like, I'm not selling it on the fact that it's more environmentally friendly, better for the environment. Do you know what I mean? And, the footprint's less, everything like that. He was like, I'm actually trying to sell it on the fact that the experience is better. It just happens to be an electric boat. And I thought, well, that's so interesting, especially when you look at selling it to an American audience that aren't so environmentally conscious as perhaps we are in the UK or the Europeans. They just want bigger and better. So he's gone about it to sell it as this is a better boating experience. And as a side note, it just happens to be electric. And I thought, that's interesting. I always thought that electric boating or sustainable boating was being sold to people who were environmentally conscious and that way inclined. But he was like, they're already bought into this. It's the people that are the non-believers in electric boating and sustainable boating that don't care how it's powered, don't care about the environment as much, but do care about their boating experience. He's like, they're the ones I'm selling to. And I thought, what an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I think you're right. That's a perfect example of simply a change in wording and a shift in perspective of how that product is sold that makes you think about it in a completely different way. And we need to be a lot more aware of that and stop using all of the same fluffy terms and language and the same recycled stuff that doesn't actually tell you anything about how this boat is better for the planet or better to actually go boating on. And that's what I'm hoping to see a big shift in, and something we're definitely trying to push to clients moving forward. But I think the marine industry is at the back almost of other industries making a strive towards that, and I think we've really got to pull our fingers out and do it.
Oh my gosh, Well, I think, and I know this is probably like delving into another sort of other conversation, but I think that as the generation, it used to be, you finished your working career, you'd made your wealth, you bought a boat to enjoy your retirement on, and the grandkids to come on. But boating is getting younger because the barriers are getting lower for people to enter it. And you're actually finding a shift, especially in America, where people are buying a boat instead of buying their first boat instead of their first apartment, because their jobs are more digital. They're digital nomads. They work remotely. They have Starlink, so they're working on their boat rather than buying an apartment. So that age is coming down. And naturally, I mean, it's a sweeping generalization, but I think as the generations boating gets younger, we're a little bit less resistant to change. So all of that is like incremental, generational, tiny percentages. It's not like an overnight shift, is it? And that's the hard thing. I think it's going to take a while.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think our language and our education towards, I think we've got to be a bit more transparent about, especially at the smaller end of the market, how much these things actually cost. Because people are getting younger and earning a lot more money at a younger age, and they have that disposable income, and that's the market that we absolutely need to go out and capture for the next generation of boat buyers, to get them in at a smaller level and build them up and make them realize how amazing boating is. I mean, as an example, I was with a guy, he was 28. I shot a podcast with him on a boat. It was on one of our clients' boats, and it was like a 80 odd foot boat. I think it was about £3.5-4 million. And after the podcast finished, he went, "God, Harry," went, "this boat's amazing. I've never been on anything like it." He went, "How much is this? 100, 200 million? And I went, "What? 100, 200 million?" I went, "No, it's like 3-4 million, maybe 5.
He went 100, 200 million. That's quite
Exactly. And 3 weeks later, he bought one.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't know. And we're so, I think, like, this secretive nature of it is almost sort of dying out. Like, how much does this thing actually cost? And this is what younger people. So my brother is younger than me, but has his own, runs his own business, is involved with Web3 and cryptocurrency, which, I don't pretend to understand at all, but he's very clever at it. And he works directly with a lot of people who have made millions, like serious wealth off the back of it. And they're in their mid-20s. And
Stop.
Why is this not, I know, right? But why are we not saying, look, here's boats. Stop looking at cars and watches and the same thing. And here's boats. If less than 5% of the market, should this one particular report be true, owns a boat, our opportunity is amazing. And all we have to do is have a bit of a shift of language and get people on them when they're younger and make them realize it's such an amazing thing to buy, because it's your own floating island where you can have everyone you know and love on and go anywhere you want. It's literally better than any hotel in the world, even if it's a banana boat, because you have like this sense of freedom that you don't have anywhere else. And I think this is the narrative that we've got to push to the next generation and the younger generation that currently have the facilities to invest in boating as a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need a house. Just live on your boat. Like,
live on your boat. Just get a big enough boat. Come on.
Instead of everyone going, "I want to get on the housing ladder." No, get on the boating ladder.
Get on the boating ladder. Yeah, love it.
Oh my God. So I have absolutely loved our conversations. I think I could probably talk to you for the next couple of hours, but I don't know. Podcast shouldn't last that long.
Podcast shouldn't last that long. No.
Although I should. But I always finish on the same question, and I'm super excited to hear your answer to this. So, what one quote do you strive to live by? What motivates you each day?
I mean, one thing that I do think about quite a lot is probably, it's a quote by Pablo Picasso that is, "Learn the rules like a pro so that you can break them like an artist," is what I'd probably say. You've got to know your craft, but then do something with it. Don't just use it, do something with it. And that's what we always try and do. That's like our big thing. Absolutely know what you do first. Do your homework. Don't pretend you know it. Become a pro and then use it. That's kind of what I try and put into, every video, basically.
Oh my goodness. Every time someone gives me a quote, I instantly think that would look ace on the back of a t-shirt.
It would. I might put it on the back of some Tiger Co merch. Yeah, I'll do that.
I was going to say I was going to put it on the back of BVN. I'll put your quote and I'll put Harry Tiger underneath it, and we can have the Harry Tiger range. We have the Tiger Co range. It's just awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much. Let's do it again soon. But thank you so much for coming on and speaking to us.
Let's do it. Thanks so much for having us, Holly. It was lovely
Cheers,
speaking.
Harry.
Speak to you soon.
Bye.
I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, then it would be awesome if you could leave a rating or a review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen to us again. See you soon.